Good morning, everyone. I'm back, and today we will discuss CMO number 22-2010 Revised Customs Port Operation Manual, and we will focus on the last topic, which is miscellaneous provisions and harbor regulations related to customs. Miscellaneous provisions. Section 20. Certificate for quarantine cargo. When cargo manifested for any port in the Philippines is retained on board importing vessel by order of the quarantine officer or any other officer authorized to issue such order, the customs inspector on board, after verifying said cargo, shall make a certificate of constructive lading as to the bill of lading. Section 21. Use of boarding watercraft. The customs senior boarding officer shall not permit anyone to go with the customs boarding watercraft upon departure from the pier except customs inspectors and customs guards duly assigned to the vessels to be boarded. Customs inspectors and customs guard assigned by the chief, base section service or its equivalent office to substitute for absent personnel, and those specially granted in writing by the chief, peers, and inspection division or its equivalent office may be given the privilege to use the boarding watercraft. Section 22. Baggage Declaration Entry. Baggage declaration entry, properly accomplished by incoming passengers, shall be presented to the customs inspector on board or to customs examiner or appraiser upon boarding of the vessel. It is required that an itemized enumeration thereon of the articles obtained abroad showing quantity and the corresponding invoice price should be in the baggage declarations. Articles, wares, goods, merchandise, and any other cargo acquired abroad not so declared shall be liable to seizure and subject to the penalties of the customs law. Section 23. Vessel clearing for foreign ports applying for bunkers. The customs inspector on board of a vessel clearing for foreign ports and applying for bunkers shall require the master thereof to transmit together with his application the usual affidavit containing the following. 1. Name and nationality of vessel. 2. Amount of fuel oil available on board for its propulsion at time of entry. 3. Vessel's daily consumption of oil at sea. 4. Vessel's daily consumption of oil in port. 5. Port or ports of call during the voyage and duration of vessel's stay at each port. And lastly, number 6. The amount of bunkers applied for. Section 24. Unloading of cargo by distress vessel. A distress vessel in port desiring to unload cargo for the duration of the vessel's sojourn threat may be issued a permit to discharge her cargo upon written request of the master or agent, approved by the collector of customs under such terms and conditions he may deem proper. If the cargoes discharged will be cleared or entered in the port where they are discharged, the unloading of this class of cargo shall subject to the same rules and regulations prescribed for cargoes destined for the port. Unless authorized by a shipside discharge permit, such cargo shall be discharged onto the pier. If discharged into lighters, such lighters must be of closed type and must be secured, locked, and sealed with customs seal, and must remain under guard until final disposition thereof is made. Section 25. Ship's mail. Ship's mail shall be examined as they are being taken from the ship, and all mails addressed to the person other than the agents of the vessel shall be delivered to the mail clerk. Any dutiable articles or merchandise other than mail found in the mail bags shall be subject to duties and taxes or seizures. Section 26. Laborers and ship's laundry. All stevedores, laborers, and other persons of similar status shall be thoroughly searched by or under the immediate supervision of the customs inspector on board upon their leaving the vessel. Any such person found with pilfered articles or those not authorized for discharge in his person shall be arrested. For bundles of clothing, ship's linen or laundry, etc., which are to be taken ashore for laundering, a list shall be prepared by the inspector, who shall check them against such list upon their return on board so that the corresponding duties and or taxes may be assessed and collected on those accounted for the vessel sales. Section 27. Seizures. The customs inspector or customs guard making seizure shall deliver to the owner of the claimant, and if unclaimed, to the masters the vessel a receipt describing the articles is seized. He shall forward immediately the articles seized together with the seizure report and transfer note to the chief, pier and inspection division or its equivalent office. Section 28. Arrest. Upon searching a vessel or any person on board thereof, the customs inspector or customs guard on board is authorized and required to search, arrest, and even detain conformably with law any person who found committing act or acts contrary to law. When a person is apprehended under such circumstances, the customs inspector on board shall conduct an informal investigation, after termination whereof the person arrested together with the evidence shall be turned over to the Enforcement and Security Service or ESS for appropriate action. A report in detail showing the name of the person arrested, the reason for the arrest, and action taken shall be submitted without delay to the Chief, Piers and Inspection Division or its equivalent office. Section 29. Small boats alongside vessels. Small boats authorized by the PPA to engage in ferry service may be permitted to come alongside a vessel. A customs guard shall be stationed at all times while a small boat, launch, or any watercraft is alongside, and it shall be thoroughly searched before being permitted to depart. Section 30. Customs guard for vessel lying alongside. A customs guard shall be detailed by the customs inspector on board of a vessel when another vessel is lying alongside, whose duty shall be to see that no contraband articles or merchandise is passed from one vessel to other. This duty shall be arranged in rotation, so that the vessel will under continuous surveillance until its departure. Section 31. Heaving anchor and sail. Upon receipt of a notice of clearance, the customs inspector on board shall allow the vessel to heave anchor and sail. But if, for any reason, the ship does not leave and remains in port for more than 48 hours after the time of departure indicated in the clearance, the master or agent shall be required to secure from the customs clearance officer an extension of time for departure, without which the original clearance shall be of no force or effect. Section 32. Repair of vessel equipment. Upon the filing of a bond underguard under Section 105 of the Tariff and Customs Code of the Philippines as amended, guaranteeing the re-exportation and approved by the Collector of Customs the landing of sails, casks, chronometers, and other portions of the vessel's equipment for the purpose of having them repaired shall be permitted. The customs inspector shall describe the articles or equipment so released in sufficient detail to enable easy and ready identification upon their return. Section 33. Conversion of vessel status. A. From foreign to coastwise. Vessels of foreign status may be converted to a coastwise status after the following requirements are fully complied with and submitted to the Collector of Customs through the Customs Clearance Officer as prerequisite to the issuance of clearance. 1. Certification from the concerned office of the Bureau that import entry had been filed and duties and taxes had been paid and or secured to be paid. 2. Certification of conversion issued by the Maritime Industry Authority. 3. Certification from the Chief, Piers and Inspection Division and Chief, Base Service Section or its equivalent office with the Enforcement and Security Service as member of the searching team that the vessel has been fully searched for contraband cargoes indicating therein the results of the searching mission. 4. Certification from the shipping agency attested by the customs inspector on board that all foreign cargoes are fully discharged from vessel. 5. Inventory list of ship stores and salons and crew declaration list shall be duly accomplished, signed by the masters of the vessel, and attested by the customs inspector on board. Such vessel shall be subjected to continuous underguard until final clearance is issued by the Office of the Deputy Collector for Operations. B. From coastwise to foreign. Vessels of coastwise status may converted to a foreign status subjected to the following requirements. 1. Certification of conversion issued by the Maritime Industry Authority. 2. Duly processed export declarations or permits. Section 34. Letters to Collector. The Customs Senior Boarding Officer shall collect all the letters in the vessel's possession addressed to the Collector of Customs and transmit them without delay to the Customs House. Section 35. Refuse and Garbage. No refuse, garbage, and the like shall be thrown or jettisoned inside any harbor, more especially while the ship is alongside piers. All damaged and rotten cargoes shall be disposed of upon arrangement and permission of the Collector of Customs, and that the area designated by said official or duly authorized representative after consultation with the Philippine Coast Guard and or Department on Environment Natural Resources or DENR. Master of vessels desiring to load or discharge ballast shall first obtain permission from the Collector of Customs or Surveyor of the port and shall obey instruction given them by the harbor master as to where the ballast shall be taken from or discharged as the case may be. Section 36. Firearms, Care, and Use. Care should be exercised in the use of firearms. The unnecessary display of firearms is prohibited. An employee should remember that the law will hold him personally responsible for the resulting of the use of firearms by him. A weapon should not be drawn or used except in self-defense or to prevent the commission of a felony. While it is not intended that an officer or employee should jeopardize his own life or the life of an associate when danger threatens, it is intended that extreme caution and cool deliberation control his actions. Officers and employees shall be permitted to carry firearms while on duty until they have been thoroughly instructed in the proper care and use of such weapons. All firearms will be inspected by the Chief Pierce and Inspection Division periodically to see what they are kept in condition for proper use. All sidearms must be holstered and properly carried on official duty. Section 37. Instructions relative to discharging withdrawal. Discharging of an empty containers. The shipping agent prior to the discharge of empty containers shall furnish the Customs Container Control Division a copy of the approved sequence of discharge and a separate listing of empty containers to be discharged from the carrying vessel for monitoring and aging purposes. Withdrawal of empty containers. The shipping agent concerned shall present a letter request to the Chief Customs Container Control Division for withdrawal of empty container from the pier. Once approved, the Deputy Collector for Operations, which is the Chief Enforcement Security Service, and the Chief Pierce and Inspection Division shall be furnished copies of request and the permit to withdraw issued. The original copy of approved request with the withdrawal permit shall be forwarded to the wharfinger in charge for the issuance of the gate pass. The customs gatekeepers and custom EES personnel assigned at the exit gate shall be required to open all empty containers to verify whether they are indeed empty and shall keep records of the approved requests or permits issued and report any discrepancy to the respective chief offices. Loading of empty containers. Prior to the loading empty containers on board carrying vessel, the shipping agent concerned shall apply for a special permit to load in a letter application made for that purpose at the Customs Container Control Division. It shall be the responsibility of the Customs Container Control Division to physically inspect every empty container brought into unloaded onto the port and to verify if indeed the same is empty as represented by the concerned parties. The empty containers shall be inspected upon their arrival into after their unloading onto the port, not when these empty containers are being loaded into the carrying vessel. For this purpose, the Chief Customs Control Division shall coordinate with the concerned shipping agent and the arrastre operator for the segregation of the empty containers and for their inspections while in the port. Section 38. Instructions related to the withdrawal or shut-out containerized export. 1. Withdrawal of shut-out containerized export cargoes. All applications for the withdrawal of shut-out containerized export cargoes shall be directly filed with the Chief, CCCD or its equivalent office. Spot checking of the contents of the subject containers shall no longer be required, but instead the following precautionary measures shall be undertaken. A. The application to withdraw shut-out containerized export cargoes shall be accompanied at all times by the following. 1. Certification of the shipping agent concerned attesting to such fact. An equipment interchange receipt or EIR and a copy of export declaration, permit, or inquiry. The spot checking shall be confined only to determine whether the original shipping agent seal affects after the staffing operations is intact. Section 39. Shifting of cargoes. Shipping agent shall submit a written request for shifting of cargoes to the office of the Chief, Pierce, and Inspection Division, which in turn shall recommend its approval to the Deputy Collector for operation. Section 40. Divining, stripping, and staffing. Consignee shall submit a written request for divining, stripping, and staffing to the office of the Chief, Pierce, and Inspection Division, which in return shall recommend its approval to the Deputy Collector for operations. Section 41. Direct to truck transfer. For direct transfer of container or cargo from vessel to truck, consignee or customs broker shall submit a written request to the office of the Chief, Pierce, and Inspection Division, which in turn shall recommend its approval to the Deputy Collector for operations. Section 42. Overtime permit. All requests for overtime work by Pierce and Inspection Division personnel other than those regular activities mentioned in this manual shall be recommended by the Chief, Pierce, and Inspection Division and approved by the Deputy Collector for operation. Section 43. Discharging of vessel sludge. All requests for discharging of vessel sludge shall be recommended by the Chief, Pierce, and Inspection Division and approved by the Deputy Collector for operations. Sample of sludge shall be taken by the customs examiner from formal entry for examination purposes. Section 44. Bunkering permit. All requests for vessel bunkering or refueling shall be recommended for approval by the Chief, Pierce, and Inspection Division to Chief Port Operations Service and AOCG. Section 45. Leisure race or racing yacht. The boarding formalities shall as far as practicably applied to leisure crafts, yachts, foreign fishing vessels, and local fishing vessels from abroad. These provisions shall include all vessels arriving in the country that are participants of regattas or similar competitions. During boarding formalities, the master or owner of the yacht, other similar vessels, shall manifest states its intention or purpose of its journey in the Philippines. He must indicate if its voyage is for pleasure or indicate intended period of stay in the Philippines, conversion from foreign to coastwise, payment of duties and taxes, or conduct business in the Philippines. Harbor regulations related to customs. A. Vessel entering port. 1. All vessels entering any port of entry or coastwise in the Philippines shall show their colors and signal their official numbers or letters, and such signals shall be kept flying till the vessel is boarded by the proper officials. All vessels within 2 miles before arriving at designated quarantine anchorage shall display their aforementioned signals. 2. When a mail is discharged to the vessel, shall inform the port authorities by prescribed signal at the earliest opportunity. B. Flag, signal, or calls. 1. At the Philippine ports of entry, signals will be responded to and from Customs House or Pilot Signal Tower. 2. The following signals or calls shall be used in a Philippine port of entry. A. Customs International Code flags A and C at night, 3 or 4 short ballasts of whistle and waving of light. B. Quarantine International Code flag Q at the 4. C. Pilot International Code flag G or PT at night. 1. The pyrotechnic light, commonly known as the blue light, every 15 minutes. A bright white light flash or shone at short frequent intervals just above the hall for about a minute at a time. The National Code Signal PTH flashing light. D. Explosive or inflammables. Internal Code Flag B at the 4. E. Medical Assistance. International Code Flag or Customs Call. Contagious or Infectious Disease. International Code Flags AZQ. G. Death Customs and Quarantine Calls or International Code Flags ENL. And that's it. Thank you and God bless everyone.